when the narcissist wants you to share the blame. My name is Jared Mello, the wizard of radical self-respect and the shepherd of black sheep. And the subject matter of today's video might be upsetting for some people because it is really so obnoxious and invalidating and gaslighting when people say this. And it's not just the narcissist or abuser that says this. They often get their flying monkeys to say this as well. And I am talking about cases where there is severe abuse. There are other cases where there are both people acting in a toxic or narcissistic way. I'm going to go over that in a different video. But for this context, I'm talking about a cut and dry case where if someone is being severely abusive to someone else, and in that case, they really want the other person to share the blame and take accountability for their part. And at that moment, that is absolutely a slap in the face. And it's gaslighting, it's blame shifting, it's provoking, it's crazy making, and they don't want to take any part of the accountability themselves. So when they say share the blame, or you need to take accountability for your part, what they're really saying is, I'm not going to take any accountability for my part at all, but you need to take this part of the accountability. And when the abuse is this bad, the only thing to do, if you're the person being mistreated, you should try to make a plan to get the heck out of there, but do so safely, because it's not always possible to do so safely. But notify friends, family, and law enforcement. Do what you can to be safe. Safety first and foremost, because in these situations I'm talking about, it is not always a safe situation. There are some severely dangerous situations that it's happened to people I know where they have to run away with kids because their partner has become so dangerous. But if you're the abusive person in this case, the only thing they should be doing is taking accountability for their side. Worrying any bit on the person you are abusing and making them share the blame or the accountability is just the wrong way to go. And they are doing this because they are allergic to accountability. I've mentioned this many times, but for a narcissist, it's all about power, control, image, narcissistic supply, and avoiding accountability. And when it comes to this, they get a narcissistic injury when they have to even think about accepting accountability and recognizing they've done something wrong. It's too much for them to bear. And rather than bear it, what they try to do is pull you in on it too, and try to get you to share the blame. And where's your accountability at? Because at least when they pull you in, then they don't feel as bad about it. But what is this? It's them being selfish. It's them not taking accountability. It's them blame shifting. It's them gaslighting. It's them being crazy making. And these are all the behaviors of someone that is probably going to mistreat you again. And I always say this, honesty, humility, and accountability. They are the antidote to people that really are trying to make a genuine amends. If they do those things, that's a good sign. But if they want to blame shift, if they want to deflect, if they want to play the victim card, anything other than take accountability, it's a major problem. And I mentioned they get other people to say this sometimes too. Sometimes the family members of an abusive person, they will say the same thing. And they'll say to the person being abused, well, where's your accountability? And in that moment, that's another slap in the face where this person is getting out of an extremely dangerous situation. And then the abusive person's family member is going to tell them, where's your accountability? It's like, give me a break. It is absolute BS. And if I didn't know for a fact that these things happened, I would probably think it's impossible. I would say, no, that's just too outlandish. That's too ridiculous to happen. But I know better. And I've heard this kind of thing many times. But the reason I'm making this video is because I want people to be clear. If you're being told this and you are being severely abused, they are in the wrong. It is not about sharing the blame or taking accountability for your side. The only person that needs to take accountability when there's severe abuse is the abusive person. And again, it doesn't mean everyone's perfect, but when it comes to severe abuse, they are the ones that need to take accountability. Anything that tries to deflect away from that is outrageous, absurd, and BS. I can't make that clear enough. And I have to say it because when someone is in a trauma bond, they start to believe the abusive person and they think, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I do need to share the blame. Maybe I need to jump through their hoops better. Maybe I need to tiptoe around their moods better. Maybe I need to just do what they say and stop telling them no, or stop having thoughts of my own. And these are the kinds of things, though, that someone is in a trauma bond may start to think. And that's why it's so dangerous when anyone, whether it's the abusive person or their flying monkeys, start to blame you for the abuse. When someone's in a trauma bond, they are already in a very dangerous position where they don't believe in themselves. Their sense of reality is weak, and it's because they are being gaslit. They're being told they're crazy and that their perceptions of reality are just way off base. But that's why, in that situation, the person who is being abused, they need to be built up. They need to be told, hey, you can trust your own reality again. They need validation. They need to be told, yes, you are not crazy. What you are experiencing is abuse. And what you are experiencing is not acceptable. That's why in the beginning, the validation and helping them to trust their own reality again is key. And then from there, they might be able to try to make a good decision for themselves, make a plan, and try to leave those kinds of situations safely. And again, I emphasize the safe part because they can be very dangerous situations. But when people try to say, share the blame, where's your accountability? At best, it is just totally misguided by flying monkeys or other people I see say this in comment sections. And at worst, it is very intentionally a malicious way to gaslight, invalidate, and try to make someone else feel crazy, and try to bait them and provoke them into an emotional reaction. Because when someone's in the trauma bond, they are already susceptible to all of those things. And that's why it's so dangerous to say that. And unfortunately, when a narcissist or abusive person says this, it can have the attendant effect. It can make them think these things. Oh, I just have to change my behavior and the abuse will stop. But that is the wrong formula. The only correct formula is it's the abusive person's responsibility to stop the abuse. Period. There's nothing else the person who is being abused can do besides trying to leave the situation. But it's nothing they are doing that is causing them to be severely mistreated. I want to make that very clear as well. But that's what they'll try to get you to think. Oh, you are responsible for this other person's behavior. And it is just not true. And the flying monkeys will say it, the abusive people themselves will say it, and all of it just not true. Again, when someone's being severely mistreated or abused, they need validation. They need people to help them to trust their own reality again, to trust their perception of reality and their feelings and their thoughts, and to be told, yeah, you are not crazy. It is not crazy to not like being abused. It is not crazy to call out bad behavior. But if left up to the abusive person, they will have the person being abused thinking they are extremely crazy and that everything they do is wrong and that they're always guilty of something. And they're probably grooming people around the person being abused to believe that the victim is in fact the crazy one, when in reality, that's not true. The abusive person is maybe crazy making to the victim, but that is not the same. but that's just another thing that happens. I've made a reel about that in the past as well. But I really wanted to talk about this topic because it is super invalidating and gaslighting when someone is being severely abused to say, where's your accountability? You need to share the blame. Not what they need in that situation at all. What they need is to be built up. They need someone who's going to listen to them non-judgmentally and try to help them to believe in themselves again and to build them up so they have the courage to leave those kinds of situations. Anything outside of that is completely unneeded. There is a time down the road for people to take a look at their side of the street to see what maybe they can do better moving forward. But in this very moment, that is not the time for this. That's why there are stages to healing. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Stage 1, heavy on the validation and helping someone believe in themselves again. That's where you start to learn about the toxic behaviors, etc. Not until down the line do you start looking at, okay, how can I stop being a people pleaser? How can I have stronger boundaries? There's a time for that, but it's not in the middle of the madness. It is not in the middle of being severely abused. And I want to make that very clear. And the people who try to come in on the comment sections and say, oh, you need to take accountability too. I'm sure you weren't completely innocent. It takes two to tango. Where's your blame? And not helpful at all. When anyone says those kinds of things, it's just invalidating and gaslighting. But if you got this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment below what you thought about this video. Has this happened to you? I'm sure other people would like to hear your experiences as well. And like the video if you liked it, and share this video with someone that you think might benefit. With that, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.